Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a reading vlog, and I thought it would be really fun to see what I read and how much I read during a full week. I actually don't really keep track of how much I read during the week or how often I read. I kind of just pick books depending on my mood, sit down and read. It's not like something I fully keep track of or log. So I thought it would be kind of fun to sit down and like actually track how much I read during the week. I don't know, I just thought this would be interesting. If not for you all, for me. I don't really see myself on the outside unless I'm filming a video like this, so I thought it would be interesting. It is Monday, it is 4 p.m. and I haven't really read today, so I am going to pick a book. I don't know what I want to read. I'm just gonna feel around, figure out what sounds good and pick it, and then just read and maybe watch some TV, wait till Justin gets home from work. Doing my regular routine, but just actually keeping track of my routine this time. Hopefully this sounds interesting to you all. Hopefully it sounds fun. I don't know if it will be, but we'll see. If anything, it'll just be an experiment to see. I'm just gonna pick something to read and we're just gonna go from there and see what happens during this vlog and just play it by ear. Just follow the flow of my reading routine. Yeah, I will check in when I have an amount read or, you know, whatever. When I have something to say, I will come back and let you all know. Hello friends, time for an update. So it is Tuesday around 5 p.m. and I have a little reading check-in to do. So yesterday I started Lost Man's Lane by Scott Carson. This was a book that was sent to me a few months ago and it sounded really good. I have to say it's like over 500 pages, so I didn't get as far into it as I thought I was going to. I feel like this is gonna be a book that I have to like split up, take breaks from. It's kind of dense in a sense. That rhymes. It's dense in a way where like it doesn't feel like too much is happening. We're really focused on this main character and like the progression and the start of the story and like really following him all the way through it, and it feels like it's kind of slow. So I only got 164 pages into it when I started it yesterday around like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I read it for a few hours. This is about the main character Marshall, and in February of 1999, the day that he gets his license, he gets pulled over by a police officer and he gets given a ticket. And in the back of the police car, he notices there is a teen girl and she looks very scared and like she's been crying and she looks like distressed, and he doesn't think too much of it because he just got his license, he just got a ticket, he's like freaked out. The interaction he has with the police officer is very uncomfortable and he's very like aggressive. Just like a few days to like a few weeks later, hi Letty, just a few weeks later, he ends up finding that girl that he saw in the back of the police car on a missing persons poster. So now he's kind of in the middle of this investigation, and again, it's really slow. It's really following this kid and his life, his involvement into this situation. It kind of feels like Stephen King, I'm not gonna lie, which is not surprising since Stephen King has like a little blurb at the top of the book that says a master. So I'm not like super surprised by that. It does feel a little like King in the sense that it's kind of rambly. It kind of feels like we're focusing a lot on the character and we're gonna be following his entire time and his progression throughout the story. So I don't know, I'm feeling okay about it. It's intriguing. I'm intrigued to know. It is classified as a horror slash thriller and I think it's supernatural, which I'm not really sure where that fits in yet, but I'm intrigued by it. I'm gonna keep giving it a chance. I'll probably just read little bits here and there. I probably won't just like devour the whole thing at once because it's just a lot for me. And then last night I also picked up a Star Wars book. This was like my nighttime reading. This is Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, and I got 200 pages into this one. So I read a total of 364 pages. Read a total of 364 pages as of right now. That's how much I've read. I'll probably finish this one tonight and read some more of Lost Man's Lane because I'm kind of alternating right now. This story is following Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and their relationship, and they're on a mission together. So this one's very enjoyable. I'm having a lot of fun with this one. This one's very slow. I'm having not as fun of a time with this one, but I'm intrigued. So it's keeping me reading. So that's where I am right now. That's all I've read. Yes, the total amount of pages so far is 364. I have not finished a book, but I am close to finishing one and in the middle-ish of another one. That is all for right now. So I will check in when I have more reading updates to give you. Okay friends, let's chat about the books that I have been reading and have read, I guess, technically, since I have an update for you all. It is Wednesday and it is about 4 p.m. I didn't realize I'm filming these updates at like the exact same time every day. I don't know if I like that or if that just comes off really, really weird. I'm not really sure. It's kind of an accident, but it's just like the most convenient time for me to film these updates. So it just kind of happens, but whatever. So I have 3 books to talk about. First off, I finished Master and Apprentice, and like I said, this is a Star Wars book. It was like my nighttime reading. I wanted something a little less like dark and disturbing recently, so I'm kind of like switching nighttime books out for stuff that's a little bit more like fun and less, you know, messed up. So when I checked in last, I had gotten to page 200, and so I did finish this book, which means I added another 130 pages to like my total pages read. So I did finish this book, really liked it, probably giving it 4 stars, I think. Yeah, so this was a good time, really quick read. I enjoyed it. Now, Lost Man's Lane. I am currently more than halfway through it now. I'm like right here. I'm on page 351. So I added 186 pages to my total from what I read. And this book is very interesting. It kind of reminds me of The Outsider by Stephen King, so I feel like if you like books like that, you might really enjoy this. I said earlier, it's very Stephen King. It feels kind of long, rambly. It's a lot of build-up. It's a lot about the main character, Marshall, and his life and growing up and what it's like for him being 16. It is taking place in 1999, so there's a lot of current events being talked about. Columbine was mentioned. Y2K is a big thing right now in the book, so it's very centered around the year as well, and like it definitely includes all the stuff happening in real life at that moment, especially in Indiana, Bloomington. That's where this book takes place. A lot of those things are also major parts of the story. I like it. It's very slow. It's really intriguing. I feel like I kind of know what's happening. I could be wrong. I kind of feel like I know what's going on, but I'm not all the way sure. Because I feel like I have things figured out, but it surprised me a little bit. It's gone some ways that I didn't see coming. It definitely is supernatural. It definitely feels more horror now than it did when I first started it, but I'm not a big fan of that Stephen King writing style, so I'm not a big fan of this. Like, it's not horrible, it's just very, very long. That's why I'm reading it so little by little, is because it feels like there's so much of the book and it feels like I'm reading it so slow, so I've decided to like break it up into chunks. I do feel like I could finish it today, easy peasy. So it's a coming of age story. I think if you like stories like The Outsider, if you like Stephen King's writing style, you'll probably really enjoy this. I'm intrigued to see how it ends because I really don't know what I'm getting into. But yeah, I mean, so far I'm reading it. So far as of today, I have read a total of 680 pages and I finished one book. I have also started Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. It's July 31st, so it's the last day of July, and this is my Patreon book club's pick for this month. And I haven't read it yet, so I am trying to cram this in as well. I don't think I'm gonna finish it today. It'll probably be early in the morning, so more like August 1st when I finish it. But, I'm barely 40 pages. Like, I'm barely 40 pages. I'm on chapter 4. So this book is about Ethan, and in 1994, when him and his best friend Billy were camping out in his backyard, Billy went missing. And now 30 years later, Ethan has moved back into his childhood home, and I guess weird things are gonna happen. We've kind of already seen a little bit of weirdness. I don't know if this is supernatural. It feels like it could potentially be supernatural, but also it's Riley Sager and I'm only 40 pages in, so it could also just be making me think it's supernatural. So I really don't know much. I haven't formed an opinion on this book. I haven't gotten far enough into it to have any thoughts. I do love the cover, and I do love that it takes place in, or at least part of it takes place in 1994. I like that we're getting like flashbacks. I like books that take place in the 90s, obviously. That was an accident, but these both do have like 90s stuff going on in them. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what's going on. I've seen mixed reviews. Either people really love this one or people really don't like this one. So I'm intrigued and excited. I love checking out new Riley Sagers, so I feel like this will be a fun time. But those are my two current reads. I'm going to bounce between them today. I might just try to finish Lost Man's Lane first and then focus all my attention on Middle of the Night, but we shall see. I don't know what I want to do as of right now, so I will be playing it by ear, but that is it for the check-in. That's all I have to say. I will come back. It might be tomorrow at 4 p.m. I don't know. Apparently I'm doing these all at the same times. Tomorrow's the first day of August, and it's also the first day of Jan's readathon, the full moon readathon. I am doing sprints with Jan tomorrow on her Patreon, and I don't know what I'm reading for that. I'm hoping I can get these done before and wrapped up before I start reading for the readathon, but we shall see. I'll check in sometime. Hopefully it might be tomorrow at 4 p.m. I don't know. Hello friends, it's the next day. It's a little after 3 p.m. so it's not 4 like the previous updates. I changed it up a little bit, just a little bit, but I'm about to get on sprints with Jan for the full moon readathon, so I thought I would come and update you all on where I am in my reading and what I'm going to be doing today. So I ended up finishing Lost Man's Lane by Scott Carson, and I liked it. I think that for me personally, it was too long. I know. I have a thing about long books. It was like 500 pages and that was just too much for me. Like, I just didn't think this story needed to be 500 pages. I will reiterate again, if you like Stephen King, I think you will really like this. If you like The Outsider, I think you will really like this. Things like about friendship and like coming of age stuff, I think you'll like this. So it was enjoyable. I don't think it was anything super mind-blowing in my opinion, and I personally wasn't like head over heels in love with it. I had a decent time reading it, but it did feel like a chore to get through at times. So I think overall I'm giving it 3.5. This was sent to me by the publisher, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Atria Books sent this my way, so I am really grateful, and I did have a good time. I'm glad I read it, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted. It didn't hit the mark for me. I also ended up finishing Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and look, I get why people don't like this one. I get why people don't like the ending. I get why people are really frustrated with this book, but it really worked for me. I liked the vibes. I liked the 90s nostalgia. I liked the whole idea of Ethan and Billy's disappearance, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And I will agree, I think the ending did drop the ball. I think the ending kind of felt like a cop-out at times. I feel like Riley Sager could have pushed things and stuck to a path that would have been really creepy and cool and interesting, and he decided not to. But at the same time, I'm not mad at the ending. I kind of feel like this is one of those wholesome books, which I know people don't really like in the thriller horror section, but I'm someone that actually does like wholesome endings and like happy endings. So I think for me, this kind of tugged at my heartstrings, and I don't know, it was just so cute. And that sounds very weird. I think if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, but I liked where it went. I don't think it's perfect. I really truly don't. I think Riley Sager could have done something really cool and he didn't, but I'm not mad at what we got from this. So I'm probably gonna settle on 4 stars, which is pretty typical for me and Riley Sager. I feel like I always give him 4 stars. If I think about this more and it goes up to a 4.5, I can see that happening, because the more I think about this book, the more I actually really did like it. And I liked the mystery, the intrigue, I liked the whole journey I went on with this one. So, plus it did surprise me. Even though the ending wasn't great, depending on, you know, what you wanted, it was super shocking. I mean, I didn't expect it. I didn't see it coming. So I have to give Riley Sager props for that, for pulling one over on me. So I don't know. I can see this going higher because the more I think about it, the more I really truly like it. But again, I can see why people hate it. So I am again in the minority, which I'm not surprised about. I feel like I'm always in the minority with Riley Sager books. I always enjoy the ones that everyone hates and hate the ones that everyone enjoys. So I'm not super shocked, but I had a good time with it. I really liked it. So that brings the total number of pages I've read so far to 1,208, and I have officially finished 3 books. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I feel like those are good stats as of right now. It is Thursday. So I'm gonna start my first read on sprints for the full moon readathon, and I think I'm gonna go with Strange Folk by Ali Dyer. I have a arc of this. It comes out this month on the 6th, and I don't know, it looks really fun. I think it's like witchy, like a little bit of a mystery or something like that. I think I'm gonna read this for the prompt read a paperback, because this is a paperback. So I don't know, it sounded interesting, sounded different. I want to get it read, so I'm gonna give this a go. So those are the plans. I'm gonna read and hang out with Jan and her patrons and my patrons, and we're just gonna have a fun time. So I will check in when I have another update to give you all. Hey friends, it's a Friday and it's almost 4 p.m. so look at me keeping with the theme of checking in just in the afternoon. So I did not read that much yesterday. It was kind of a slow reading day for me. Even though I did sprints with Jan, I just like wasn't feeling reading. I don't know if it's because the last like 4 days I was going super hard and reading like 2 books at one time or what, but I only made it 168 pages into Strange Folk. And honestly, I'm not having the best time with this book. It's not bad, it's kind of a frustrating read. In this book, we're following the character Lee and her two children, Meredith and Cliff. And Lee is going through a divorce, so she's gone back to Craw Valley, which is where she grew up, and she's staying with her grandmother. And her grandmother's basically a witch. She uses like mountain magic to like heal people, you know, she uses herbs and potions and that kind of thing. And Lee is not really excited to be there because she's kind of distanced herself from that kind of part of her life. Now there's like a murder, or possible murder. At this point, I'm assuming it's a murder that's happened, and they're trying to figure out who did it. And I think it's frustrating because Lee and her daughter Meredith are the two perspectives you get. And they're both kind of just frustrating. Lee doesn't want Meredith to know anything about magic. She doesn't want her to like learn or, you know, practice anything that her grandmother is doing. So she's kind of like shielding her, but shielding her to the extreme. And Meredith is just a typical teenager. I think she's like 13 or 14 maybe. I mean, she's like a typical teenager who just wants to like rebel against her mother because she feels like her mother's hiding things from her and not telling her the truth. And yeah, it's like a whole thing. So I think those two perspectives being the only ones are irritating because they're both doing stupid things, and it could be solved easily if they just had like a conversation. If Lee was like, hey Meredith, this is what happened to me, this is why I don't want you learning certain things, and instead she's just like, I'm the mom, you listen to me, blah blah blah, and Meredith is like, no, because you're not giving me a good enough reason and I feel like you're lying. So they're both just like pushing against each other, and it just feels very stupid. So it's just a very frustrating read in that sense. It does feel similar to Practical Magic, so I feel like if you liked that book, you might like this one. But this one is kind of irritating. At this moment in time, it feels like a 3-star. It doesn't feel like anything crazy, wild, special for me. But I mean, yeah, it's going. I'm kind of ready to like be done with it, honestly. So that's what I'm going to be reading today, but I'm doing sprints with my patrons here in like 30 minutes. So when I read, I'll be reading this. I'm also going to work on my reading journal that I do for my patrons. It's like a special exclusive video that I do for my top tier that goes along with our book club reads every month. So I'm doing a page in my reading journal dedicated to Middle of the Night by Riley Sager because that is what we read in July. So I'm gonna film that and do my reading journal while on sprints, and then, you know, flip back and forth between reading. And I'm also watching Selling Sunset on TV. So Justin should be home soon, and when he gets home we'll eat dinner and watch SVU probably. So that's my plans for today. It's Friday and that's all I got going on, and I'll update you all when I finish this, and hopefully I start something more enjoyable after it. Hello friends, it's time for another check-in. So it's actually Sunday night. It's around 10:30, I think, and I haven't checked in since Friday. And I'll be honest, I didn't get much reading done this weekend because Letty had a vet appointment on Saturday, and honestly, Justin and I have been decorating our apartment and building furniture, and it's been like a very busy but very productive weekend, and we've had a great time. Like, it's been fun. Watching the apartment come together has been like really cool, but that means I've been slacking on my reading just like a little teeny tiny bit. The last time I checked in, I was around halfway through Strange Folk. I did finish this, and I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I feel like if you like practical magic and you like witchy mysteries, you'll probably really enjoy this. I was really annoyed by the characters. Like, honestly, both characters, both POVs drove me insane. And I was expecting something different, I think. I was expecting that like emotional tie that I had with practical magic, and it didn't really go there for me. I felt like the mystery was pretty good. It kept me entertained, and I will say the second half of this book I liked a lot more than the first half. So the way it all came together in the end and how it all played out, I really did enjoy. So that's why I'm giving it above a 3, just because I feel like I was more invested by that point. But I did really just want this book to end at a certain point, and it really wasn't like my kind of thing. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It worked for the full moon readathon. It was a paperback. I got that one checked off. So then I decided to be a little gutsy. I was like, I'm gonna pick a big book. I'm gonna try to get this to add to my page count. I'm gonna get this read during the weekend and then have one last book, and I'll finish that by Monday. So I'll have a total of 6 books for the week. No, no, that was a bad idea. I started The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I'm reading this for the full moon readathon as well, and I'm gonna have it check off from an author you love. I read Long Bright River by this author and really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, and I've been really wanting to read this one, so I thought that it worked. But honestly, this book is big, okay? I'm only on page 133. Like, it's very long. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. I think I'm kind of crazy. But I've been seeing good reviews for it, and it's bouncing around between a lot of time periods and a lot of POVs. So like, it goes back and forth between July of 1975 to August of 1975 to the 50s to 1961, and you're following all these different characters, and it's telling the story, and I'm assuming the lead up to what happened in August, which is at this camp. One of the girls goes missing. They can't find her. And the girl that goes missing is Barbara, and she is the daughter of the family that owns the camp. So it is a huge deal. And honestly, I am really enjoying it. I'm just not enjoying the length. But that's on me because I picked it, and I thought that I was gonna get it done quicker than I did because I didn't expect to do all this stuff this weekend. So it's whatever, but I am enjoying it. Again, it jumps around a lot, so you're gonna have to keep track of characters and dates. I will say that it is fairly easy. Above each new chapter, there is the name of the person you are going to be reading from and the year that you're reading from, or month and year. So it's keeping it pretty clear. Might bother some people though. It is taking my brain just like a half a second longer to like click into where I'm supposed to be. That aside, I am really enjoying it. I am really liking it. I'm hoping I can finish this before tomorrow at 4 p.m. because that's when the week ends, and that's when this vlog is a wrap. And I also have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so I'm hoping I can get it done before my doctor's appointment so I can update you all before the time is gonna end and I can, you know, end the vlog. But as of right now, that is the check-in. That is what I'm reading, and we'll see how far I get by tomorrow afternoon. All right, friends, it's time for the last check-in. It is Monday. It's actually around 7 p.m. I had a doctor's appointment earlier and never really got a chance to update the vlog. I finished The God of the Woods and I actually really did enjoy this one. I think it's really long. I think there are a lot of POV switches. I think there's a lot of timeline jumps. So you're kind of constantly going back and forth between people and time, and it's just like, it is a little bit harder to wrap your head around at times because there were a few characters where I wouldn't hear from them for a while. When they came back, I was like, wait, who is that again? So I did kind of need to like really pay attention or else I would forget some things. But I have to say the overall story I really liked. This is more of a literary mystery thriller. I wouldn't expect you to like really be on the total edge of your seat, but I do think there were a good amount of surprising like twists and turns. I think the story itself kept me entertained and kept me wanting to know, kept me intrigued, and I actually overall liked how it ended. I don't think that the POV switches and the jumping around different time periods, I don't know if that was as bad as I thought it was gonna be at first. I think once you got into a rhythm of it, it was easier. I do think it's gonna be a lot for some people because it was a lot for me. So I think some people are gonna get really tired really quick of all the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But each chapter does a good job of making sure you know whose POV it is and what time period you're in. I think it will be easier than it could be. It is long. Again, it's like 476 pages. So it did feel a little bit slow. You know, it took a while. It was a lot of characters, a lot of getting to know people, a lot of information sometimes, a lot of slow build, but I think the payoff was really well done, and I don't know, I really enjoy this author's writing. I really liked Long Bright River as well. That one really surprised me. So I think this one's just as good. I don't know if I like this one better than Long Bright River. I gave that one 4 stars and I think I'm gonna give this 4 stars as well. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I feel like they're pretty even. It's just gonna depend on what kind of story you want, but I like the camp setting. I like the, you know, kid disappearing storyline. So, you know, I think it was a good book. I think it was a good read. I enjoyed it and I'm glad I read it. I had high hopes for it from the beginning, but I'm glad that it turned out to be, you know, an enjoyable read. So as for the total amount of books I read 5 from last Monday to this Monday, and I read a total of 1,980 pages. So almost 2,000 pages, which I have to say, is pretty good. This is, I think, a pretty typical week for me. I was reading pretty consistently. I think the weekend was the only time I really took a small little break because I was doing like house things and that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I feel like this is a pretty typical week for me if I am excited to read and wanting to read. So I would say this is pretty accurate. I think so. Overall, it was a fun experiment to see how many books I could get read and how many pages I read. I just wanted to see for fun and, I don't know, just make a video out of it. Why not? Like, what's the harm? So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed watching my weekly reading pace, what I read in a week kind of idea. If you enjoy this, I could definitely do it again. If you have any book recommendations or video recommendations, vlog recommendations that you would like me to try out, do, whatever, please leave those in the comments. And this is the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was fun and entertaining. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. That way I know and I can do this again in the future. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I also have a Patreon linked down in the description box. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!